it's me Martin Perhiniak. Today I'm going to show you a really cool feature in Photoshop CS5 using smart objects. Now I'm sure you had some projects before where you had to use the same elements in different designs. So for example, here we have 4 different photographs. Let's say these are like wallpapers, and we need to use the same logo on all of them, but the client is not sure about the logo, so we might be able to create all the designs with a logo, but then the client changed their mind and they want to tweak the logo a bit. But for us designers, that means we need to go back to all the designs that we did for them and change the logo in all of them separately. Now this can be really time consuming. It depends on the scale of the work. It can be like 4 different versions where we need to make the change, which may be like 10 or 15 minutes. But if the whole project has like 100 of different pieces, then we might need to spend a whole day just replacing the original version with the changed version. Now I just recently discovered this way of working in Photoshop and I'm really excited about showing it to you. So what you need to do is to have the logo created and save it as a smart object, but not into the document itself, also into the document itself. So usually the way you embed a smart object into a document, but you should also save it out, or actually it's called export the smart object out as a separate PSB file, because that's the file that we can save a smart object into, and then you can replace the contents in a document from a separate smart object file. Now let's just see how it works. So I have this first image here with the logo. Let's say this is the first one that we designed, and I just switch to the consolidate all view. So from the arrange documents I select this one and I press Command 0 to zoom and fit to screen the image. So as you can see, I have a background layer, I have the image on a separate layer, and I have the logo already saved as a smart object. That means I have all the layers that makes up this logo stored in a smart object, a separate file. It's like an embedded file, okay, inside this Photoshop file. If I double click on the icon of this Dolomites logo, I will see the contents of that smart object. I have the mountaineer and the 2 text layers here, and just to make sure that you can see what we have here, I just create a layer below them and fill it with black. So that's my smart object. And by the way, if you've never used smart objects before, I just show it to you. If I save this file, which is embedded into the other Photoshop file, so I save this and I go back to my first file, you can see it automatically updates here. So whatever changes I make to the embedded Photoshop big file, this PSB file, which is the smart object, that will show up in the original design. So it's like a layered structure where we can work outside the smart object or inside the smart object, but anytime it will affect the main design. Okay, so that's the usual way that we work with smart objects. Let me just go back and just delete this. Okay, I save this and I close the smart object and I go back to the original design. And before I go any further, I right click on this smart object, okay, and I choose this amazing option called export contents. Okay, by the way, double clicking on the smart object means editing the contents. That's also available from the context menu. But I'm going to choose now export contents. That means I can save this file as a separate PSB file. So not PSD, PSB file. And I'm going to call this logo. So this is going to be my logo, and I just simply save it into the same folder, but it can be anywhere on your computer, where I have my other PSD files, the 4 different wallpapers. Now that I saved it, I can start copying it into the other versions. I go now to the consolidate all option, or actually I'm sorry, I'm going to choose the tile all in grid. Okay, let me just zoom out a bit on this one. So I have the 4 different versions of the same project or the same poster. Okay, by the way, these photographs are all from a friend of mine. His name is Béla Szabó, and he's a great Hungarian photographer, and all these images are from Italy. I think the most beautiful place, the Dolomites in Italy, or maybe in whole Europe. But let's get back to smart objects. So I have the Dolomites logo, okay, and I just simply drag and drop it onto these other images, and I'm going to place them where I think is the best. So I'm going to again drag and drop on the other image. Again, I place it on a less busy area, then I drag and drop it, and I also try to find a place here. Probably here again, the left corner is the best place for it. I can go to File and Save, or just use the keyboard shortcut Command or Control S. Okay, I save all of them. If you don't see a little asterisk after the name here on the tab, that means you saved the document. And now what I would like to do is to change the source. Okay, so change the logo itself. So for that, I'm going to go back to Bridge. I click on Launch Bridge. This is the folder where I have all the files. Let me just make the thumbnails a bit larger. Okay, so those are the files, and this is the PSB file, the logo itself. So I double click on this. This opens up here in a separate document, and let's just say that the client changed their mind and they would like to have the hiker on the logo turned to the right. Okay, that's usual that they want to make changes, maybe not on a logo, but even it can happen on a logo as well, that they want to make a change on it. So now I'm going to select the mountaineer, and I go to Edit, Transform, and choose Flip Horizontal. By the way, I use a keyboard shortcut for that most of the times, but now I just wanted to show you that option. Okay, so I turned it around, and I'm going to save this. So I go to File, Save. So I saved the logo, this PSB file, and I can even close it now. We can't see anything because in these Photoshop documents we have the same smart object embedded, but it doesn't have a connection with that separately saved file. It doesn't have a direct connection, but they can be replaced using that separate file. And that's really simple, because all you need to do is right clicking on the smart object. I will do it here on this first image, and I zoom a bit closer on it just to see the logo. Okay, I also do the same thing on another one. So I select the first image, I right click on that smart object, and I choose Replace Contents. After that, I only need to locate the file, which is the logo file. Okay, I click on Place, and it's automatically replaced. I can do this on the other image. Right click, choose Replace Contents, choose the same file and place, and it stays where it was with the same size, just simply replaced by that saved version or changed version. I just want to show this. So if I just go back and I make this smaller, okay, by the way, resizing smart object doesn't affect the source, so I have it smaller, and I just zoom a bit closer to it, okay, just to make sure that you can see the changes. So now it's smaller than the original version of this, but still if I right click on it, or maybe even better, I rotate it around, okay, like this. So let's say on this image it's different, but still if I right click on it and I choose Replace Contents, and I choose that PSB file and I replace it, it stays exactly the same, only that change will update. I think that is amazing, but just to make it even more amazing, I would like to show you a way to automate the replacement of the logo in all of these images. So let me just go back to leave it as it was. Okay, so that was the original version, and I save this document with this. I go back here as well and save it. Okay, and I just keep this zoomed in into the area where I have the logo. Okay, so on all images we can clearly see that they are separate documents, but I'm again going to open the logo file. Okay, and I make a change on this one. Actually, it's already saved with this the character turned to the right, but I'm also going to change their place now. So I move this on the left, and while I'm doing this, I just put a black background just to see what happens, and I move these on the right. So I turn everything around, okay, and I delete now that black background and save this separate logo file, which can be used to replace the smart objects. So I close that now, and I'm going to save an action to make it much faster and easier to replace the logo in all of these images. So let me just do that now. I go to the actions panel, and I have a folder for my actions. In that folder, I'm going to create a new action. So I click on the new action, and I will call this replace logo. Okay, I record this action, and only thing I need to do is to make sure that whenever or whichever document will be opened, the Dolomites logo layer will be selected and replaced. Okay, so that's the only thing I need to do, and also save back the document. So to make sure that this is going to work in all of my documents, I will first click on the background layer. Okay, I hope that in all of my documents I have at least one background layer. There should be one. And then I select the Dolomites logo layer, because selecting layers can be also recorded into actions, and that makes sure that when you change the layer, the contents will be replaced for that specific smart object that you are looking for, in this case the Dolomites logo. So now I'm going to right click, choose replace contents, and I select that file, and I then click on place. And as we can see, while we are recording the action, we already did it on the first example, and now I just simply go to file and save, and that is also recorded into the action. Now I click on stop, okay, and I select the second image, and I select replace logo action, and I click on play, and it does the job really quickly. Okay, but what is even better, if I just go back one step here and save this back, go back here again and save that as well. Okay, so instead of going one by one on these documents and using that action, I'm going back to bridge and select all 4 images, go to tools and choose Photoshop batch. Okay, and then I select it, automatically selects the previously created action, the replace logo. Okay, and then I just simply click on OK, and magic, everything changed, everything saved, and I haven't had to do anything. Only do it once, save it as an action using a separate file to replace the smart object, and everything that is done completely automatically. Now you can say that what happens if we have more layers on one of these documents? The action will still work. If I just go back here, I save this, and I add another layer there just to show you, to prove you that it works. So I just select the, let's say, the rectangle tool, okay, and I create something like a little banner here and put it behind the Dolomites layer, maybe change the opacity a bit and move these together up. Okay, so let's just create something like this. I don't need to see the other documents now. So let's just say that I have now not only the background and Dolomites logo on this document, and I intentionally select a completely different layer like shape 1 and save this document with this. Okay, and I'm going to the actions panel and I select replace logo and click on play, or it's also good to know if you command click on the action, that also runs the action. So I do that now. Okay, command double click actually, and it works. Okay, so because we did that select layer background and then select layer Dolomites logo, it will always know that which layer we want to change. By the way, I can check here in the replace contents action step, the only option that has been saved is that which file is going to be used for the replacement. So that's why it's important to make sure that first the specific layer is selected. That's why we do that round trip to first select the background layer and then the Dolomites logo layer, and then do the replacement and then save. Okay, so just make sure that you have a background layer in all of the images, but usually you will have at least one background layer. Okay, actually you can only have one, but you need to make sure that you have one, so you don't turn all the background layer into a normal layer. Okay, and that also make sure that the element that you would like to change has to have the same name, so it has to be called the same name in all the documents. In this case I use Dolomites logo, so that was the name of the smart object, and that's the way you can use an action. And if you want to run it as a batch process, you can do it from Bridge really simply, as you could see in this example. So let me just show you once again the power behind this way of working. So let me just save this with this version, and I show you all of the images, and I keep this visible, this part of the image. So now I have all of them updated to the second version, but then comes the client again, our favorite client, and they make a change again on the logo, and they want us to again replace all the documents. We can tell them that, oh, that's another whole day of replacement, but if we are fair and we tell them that, okay, just give us the change and we quickly change it for you, you can look really professional if you can do it in 5 minutes. Okay, so let's just do that, and I go back to Bridge, open that file for the logo, and let's just say they want to change the text in this case, and they want to change Dolomites to Alps. Let's say they just replace a brand. So again, I just put a black background just to make sure that you see what I do. Okay, and I double click on the Dolomites layers thumbnail, and I change this to Alps. Okay, and I move these two text layers closer also to the guy, maybe make the Alps a bit bigger. So I make quite a lot of change now, not just simply moving the layers around. Okay, and I move the text here on the right, and I save this file now. So the separate PSB file, I close it. Okay, I go back to Bridge, I select these images, okay, all of them. One of them even has a banner on it, and then I go to Tools, Photoshop, Batch. Okay, I use the same option on them, the replace logo option. We haven't had to change the action, it can stay the same. Okay, we just changed again the source, or we can call it the master smart object, and then I click on OK, and look at the changes. Oh, and I forgot to delete that black background, so I just need to again go back to it, but it just proves again the advantage. So I can delete that one, save. Okay, and I run again my favorite action. I select these, go to Tools, Photoshop, Batch, select the same action, click on OK, and it quickly updates on all of them. And they are even saved, so I don't even need to go and save them separately, because the save is also inside the action. So again, I show you my action, only 4 steps, really simple to save an action like this for each project. Obviously, you need to resave this action every time, because you need to make sure that it uses the smart object name that you have and in all of the documents, and also to use the file that you would like to use as the master smart object. But after you have that, it's just 4 steps. Select background layer and select the layer that you want to replace. Then replace it, right click, replace contents, choose the file, and then save the document, and that's it. That's the action that you can create. Okay, and also the conclusion is, start using smart objects if you haven't started already, but if you started, start using also the export contents and replace contents options, because they are just great and they can save a lot of time. The bigger the project, the more time you will save with this option. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you will be able to use it in your own projects. If you have any questions or something that you don't know how to do properly in Photoshop, feel free to ask me. You can join the Facebook page of the blog, and there you are more than welcome to ask any Photoshop, InDesign or Illustrator related questions, or just about design in general, or graphic design or photography in general. Thanks a lot for your attention, and see you next time.